Hi, everybody. I am so excited on this episode to be talking with a comics creator from the world of Mad Cave and other creative projects. I just discovered Mad Cave like about a year ago, I think, and it was mainly through Monomyth. I saw Monomyth and I thought, well, this is interesting. And so I've been doing sort of a travel back through time, and so delighted to be talking with the author of a series called Villainous, and that author is Stonie Williams. Stonie, may I call you Stonie? Is that okay?
Please, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for joining, and thank you for. We have very similar headphones. I think these are like gaming headphones, although I don't
Mhm.
actually play video games much anymore.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and I do actually a lot. Me and my kids all play together. So
Nice, nice. I started an academic program. I started a degree and I had to put my Xbox One away at the time, and I've just not resurrected my gaming life, but that might have to happen at some
there you go.
point. Yeah. So game storytelling aside, curious about the way that you connected with comics as a storytelling medium. And I know you've also, I might be wrong in this, but I think you've also written in the world of prose as well, short stories and work of that nature. So curious about the connections there for you.
Yeah. So comic books in general started when I was very young. My mom worked at a comic book store in Tulsa, and they were always a part of the house, and I collected when I was very young. But it wouldn't be until my 30s before I thought maybe I could write comic books.
Hmm,
Um,
hmm.
I wrote stories off and on as a kid, short stories, but it wasn't until I was actually Top Cow's Talent Hunt
Hmm,
was
hmm.
when I saw that and I thought maybe this is something I could do. And just learning the process to apply for that got me started in script writing and the different kinds. And um, I became fascinated with the behind the scenes stuff for comic books and um, the different ways different people wrote scripts, and then the
Yeah.
process that come after that, you hand it off to the next person, and um, to watch it grow into what you pick up on the shelves was just fascinating to me.
Hmm.
And I'd actually started a comic book podcast and blog with my best friend Aaron, and um, we were doing reviews for different comic book companies. Mad Cave approached me about reviewing some of their comics, and that's how I found out about Mad Cave and their talent hunt.
Hmm.
Um, I had 2 weeks to come up with the scripts and submit them. I found out very late in the game, and so I did, and I didn't think anything would come of it. And I remember sitting on my couch, and I got the email, and I was absolutely flabbergasted. Um, but they had already chosen and contacted the winners at that point,
Yeah.
and they said that they'd like to add me as a fifth. They were only going to pick four writers, but they decided they wanted to add me as a fifth. So, um, yeah, it was the writing prose short stories after that. Um, I say after it's kind of a weird timeline.
Hmm.
I'd won the talent hunt. We'd started the comic book, but it hadn't come out yet
Yeah.
when some other people I'd met through the Mad King Talent Hunt were also doing a project on short stories monthly,
Hmm.
different themes, and then they would put them all together into this mini anthology once a month. And they asked me to write for that. So I was doing short stories prose before my comic book came out, but after I started writing comic books. So
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah. The publishing timelines are sometimes just kind of interesting in the way they work, for sure.
yeah, Villainous had some hiccups early on. We went through three different artists. Um, they had to find me an artist to begin with because there wasn't a fifth
Mhm.
artist in the talent hunt. The first one, there were some scheduling issues and he had to drop out. The second one, there was some creative issues and he had to drop out. And then they paired me up with the artist from Show's End, uh, Jeff Zadinsky.
Hmm. Hmm.
And but by that point, I'd had every script already written. It was done
Yeah.
completely. So um, and then so he got it. So it was already started out a little late, and then COVID hit, and it pushed everything back. So
Yeah.
my book didn't come out until after the first comic from the second round of Talent Hunt winners came out. So yeah, the it had some hiccups along the way, and then hurdles after that, and yeah, it was a very odd release.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was going to mention the visual style of it. So I'm curious about um what you feel like the artist brought, and because I love the way that it all came together, from the
Mm.
storytelling to the visual style there from Jeff. So I'm curious about that as well.
Yeah. So that was the neat part about having three different artists was I got to see the first 3 or 4 pages done three different ways.
Yeah.
So that was kind of neat. Um, Originally, we wanted to do like a Americanized anime style,
Hmm.
um, something along the lines of like the video game Overwatch.
Hmm.
Um, but as that evolved and we changed artists and Jeff came in, he brought a different touch to it, and I absolutely love what he did with it. I was just blown away. Um, I was really lucky, even though there were the hiccups and things happened strangely and out of order. I didn't get a true collaboration with Jeff. I was really lucky that he got what I was trying to say so much throughout the book, and
Hmm.
he did make small changes after the fact, but they were way better than what was on the page on the script. Like I was so lucky. He really blew me away.
Yeah, you mentioned those different types of script writing. I'm curious if you're more of a like page this, panel this, like very descriptive, or if you're more open, and kind of the general threads. Is there a way that you prefer to go about writing?
Yeah, so I every time I start with an artist, I have to give a disclaimer that I get very detailed with my scripts, and I do the page one, panel one, and
Hmm. Hmm.
I try to explain what I've got in my head in as much detail as possible, so that I can accurately convey what's in my head.
Yeah.
But it's all open, right? Like the artist is the visual person. If they feel like that needs to be changed, if there's anything aesthetically, panels need to be laid out differently, or the scene needs to come from a different angle, or anything like that, absolutely change it because they're the visual person. They're the ones that are the expert there, and so I'm just trying to get out of my head what I'm seeing as best I can, and then I'm absolutely open for them to run with it any direction they like. So
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Uh, Curious about what inspired Villainous, as well as anything you'd like to add about Cthulhu.
so villainous, getting started in comic books and doing talent hunts and stuff. I followed Matt Hopkins, who is in charge of Top Cow,
Hmm.
and he had always said that his advice was never to do superhero comic books. The market is cornered. You'll never have your original superhero on a lunchbox or a cartoon, or it just won't happen because Marvel and DC have got that market cornered. And so I had completely gone and put that away. It was like I don't think I have any superhero stories anyway. Never even considered it. And then Mad Cave came to me with three different pitch ideas, and their superhero one is what spoke to me.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
I came up with ideas for each one, but their superhero one was the one I thought I could do the most with and have the most to say. And so, funny enough, that's what I ended up doing.
Nice, nice.
Um, from Starbase 21, the comic book store my mom worked at, there was another guy that worked there who was also a comic book writer. His name
Hmm.
was R.A. Jones, and he did a little bit of work for Marvel and DC. He also wrote Ferret and the Protectors for Malibu. Um, and the Ferret and the Protectors were public domain heroes.
Hmm.
And even though I was into Marvel and DC as a kid, I collected all of the Ferret, the Protectors, And I knew RA very well growing up. I called him my Uncle RA. And so his comic books really shaped what I thought superhero comic books should be. And so I took a lot of inspiration from his portrayal of those characters and superhero archetypes, um, and cobbled things together. But I always went back to his stuff, uh,
Mhm.
to for the base of what superheroes should be. Um, yeah, and when I did Villainous, I thought, you know, this could be it, right? If
Mhm.
this is the only thing I do in comic books, um, I want it to be something I'm proud of. I want it to be something that my kids can read later, read now, and then later as they get older, and take something away from it as
Yeah.
adults. And so I tried to do that as best I could. Why with 5 issues, and keeping it something that kids could read, but also adults could get something out of. And so I approached it that way. It was kind of my love letter to superheroes
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
the ones I read growing up and watched on TV. And um, yeah, so we took the approach of hero worship and the pitfalls of that. Um, the editor Geo and I really clicked over it. She really got what I was trying to say, and um, I really loved working with her, crafting those scripts. Um, with Cthulhu, so I met David Galliano through the Mad Cave Talent Hunt. He
Mhm.
and I are
Mhm.
really good friends now, and that's probably one of the best things about the Talent Hunt was the people that I've met and the friends that I've made. We have a writers group on Facebook that isn't very active, but everybody who wins the talent hunt through Mad Cave, I let them know we've got a writers group that they can ask questions and bounce ideas off. So
Cool.
they have an idea of what they're getting into, and what to expect, because most of us didn't.
Cool.
I had no idea when Mad Cave first asked me about my page rate. I was like, oh, crap, I have no idea. Like, what do I say? Um, and I approached Ryan Katie from Top Cow,
Yeah.
and asked him what the appropriate response would be. And so he gave me some pretty good advice. He was like, "Here's what I've gotten. Here's what kind of the standard is, but you could start there, but also you might want to ask them what's in their budget." So uh, the people that I've met along the way have been insanely cool, and David and I really hit it off pretty early. And he was talking about he wanted us to do something together. He wanted our names in the same book.
Mhm.
And a friend of his, Travis Gibb in Florida, was putting together an anthology called Cthulhu Invades Oz.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, 3 months before this, maybe 3 months, we were well into COVID, and I decided that I was going to go into the pandemic, and learn a new skill and come out the other end being able to do something else. And I decided that comic book coloring was where I wanted to start. I decided that figuring out at least the basics of each step of creating a comic book would make me a better writer, even if I didn't pursue that later.
Yeah.
Learning how was important to me, and I started with comic book coloring. And so about 3 months in, David goes, "Hey, I'm doing this story for Cthulhu Invades Oz. You want to color it for me?" And I was like, "Man, I don't know. Like, I just started. I'm not very good." And he goes, "No, you're great. It's fine. You can do this. No problem." And so I colored the story, the story he wrote for Cthulhu Invades Oz. We're completely done with it. The books, we I signed up to do a lot of the promotion for the book, and that's when Travis Gibb found out that I was actually a comic book writer, and he gave David Galliano no end of crap for it. He's like, if you told me he was a writer, we could have given him a story. He didn't have to color it, um, which in hindsight probably would have been better because I'd only been coloring for 3 months.
Right.
But um, I was very heavy with the promotion for Cthulhu and Bezos, and I loved doing that with them. Getting to meet the other creators. It was 50 plus creators on that book, well over 100 pages. And I loved doing it. I loved the collaboration. I loved he had a Facebook group going for the production of it, and we were all sharing pages. And it was so cool to have that much creativity all in one place, and to see people as they progress their story. And people would share pages, and then it would make everybody else go, "Oh, that's awesome! We got to step it up, right?
Right.
We're nowhere near that good. We have to do better." And the promotion itself, there was so many of us that would show up for um, podcasts like this, and live
Mhm.
streams, and things, and that was so cool to get to hang out with so many different creators. And it was always so energizing. Like every podcast I walked away from, I was so excited to make comic books. The energy was just so much fun, and we met so many incredible people. And Travis Gibb and I got to know each other pretty well, and so he asked me to write a story for the next anthology, Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. And the artist that I chose to work with me on that, Ben Humanic, I actually met through um, the group who did the prose writing that I
Mhm.
started off doing originally. He and I met through them, and hit it off. And I've really enjoyed working with Ben a lot. In fact, he did the artwork for the third installment of Cthulhu Invades Neverland.
Nice, nice.
And he and I are working on a project together to showcase our stories, and we're going to add some new stuff in there. And yeah, so we're working on that right now.
Cool. I will be having Ben on sometime in the next few weeks, I think.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, I've seen his work out there, so looking forward to talking with him, and I'm sure we'll go to that place of talking about this project as well. And that takes me to the last official question, which is those things that are currently ongoing that you can talk about. And I always like to ask about the places where people can connect with you as well, like websites, social media, whatever the best way is to kind of see what you're working on.
So the next thing to hit print is going to be Cthulhu Invades Neverlands. Um, I, Ben and I did a story in that. Travis asked me to color another story on that one, so I'll have my name on two different stories. Um, that is almost done. They were hoping for a December release, but it may not happen until January.
Hmm.
Um, but that will be coming out soon. I believe you can go to CthulhuInvades.com
Hmm.
to get all the information for that, and pick up the other stories. Travis Gibbs Orange Cone Productions has those available. The anthologies themselves, um, there is an overarching story that weaves in and out of all of the smaller stories,
Hmm.
but they also all stand alone. So you don't have to have all of them to enjoy one. If you like, Peter Pan, you don't have to pick up the Oz one to understand what's going on. So they're really cool. They have all these different covers, and they're always an easy sell when you do conventions or signings and stuff. Those are always an easy sell. People really like those. Ben and I's book that we're working on doesn't have a release date yet, but um, you can find me at Bald Bearded Bard across social media. Uh,
That's a great
um,
username.
yeah, that's what David Galliano said. He goes, "That's a great brand,
Hmm.
brand marketing there." Yeah, so it calls me Triple B sometimes, but yeah, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, um, um, ArtStation. It's all Bald Bearded Bard.
Nice, nice. Well, I'll just say to listeners out there, if you're looking for some really interesting working comics and you want to see some new takes and some really interesting, inspiring work, I would just say check out some work from Stonie, Ben, and other such folks that are out there, and appreciate what you're doing in the world of comics.
Thank you so much.